It's good to see you. See people from all over in their cars, outside, and it's different in the daytime, isn't it? A full moon meditation in the day has a different energy than at night, of course. And I thought it was perfect to do that for right now because we sort of need things to quiet down and kind of be in the light of day, right? And sort of look at all this stuff that's happening around the world in a way that is more clear-headed and on purpose and in the light, you know? So I think it's a nice and different way to do it. I usually do them at night at 7:30. So today we're doing it earlier at high noon. And the full moon is exact in a little while at 1:24. So you can just touch that again, although we're close enough to it that you don't need to. But if you just even think it, it'll hook you back up to the full moon energy that's happening right now. And there's people that are all over the world here today, as always, Hawaii and London and Oklahoma and Tulsa, Oklahoma, actually specifically in Tombstone, Arizona. Hi, Hank. And Sherman Oaks and Woodland Hills and everywhere that we're all over the world. And that's what's so powerful about this is that we get to join together as a collective consciousness, that we can, when two or more are gathered, right? We have a power in that connection, and we need it right now so much. And we've been talking in the last months about these building energies, and we've been talking about what's been happening for since 2020, basically, to the arc is to 2025, right? This transition. When I was a young girl in my teens, I'd already been doing astrology since I was born. Basically, my father taught me. And so I knew the planets before I knew my numbers, you know. So I've always sort of watched the sky as soon as I could be aware. And what's the biggest thing? The light in the sky is the sun and the moon, right? Those are the big ones. But I could point out at 3, Mars and Venus, you know, in the sky when they were there. And as a young girl, I was looking at charts at all different, you know, people that were then, you know, John Lennon and Prince Charles chart. That was the first chart I ever studied, besides my family. And I was wondering, you know, and then later talking to friends that were also astrologers, you know, what was going to happen between 2020 and 25, like what was going to happen, because it was so intense and kind of the biggest aspects in 1,000 years, you know, kind of those kinds of things. And so it's what for sure we can say, and especially in America, is that this is a world-changing time. We can at least say that. I could also say it's a humanity-changing time. Like, we get to make a decision now, and we are making that decision now, and all the things that are happening are part of that, right? It's like, I was teaching last night about this at Meditation Mount, that, you know, the gift is in the wound, and we are wounded and bleeding, and there's so much energy out there of change and polarization, that this time of bridging, I'm going to call it, is more important than it's ever been. You have to call upon your higher angels, right, inside you, the higher angel of yourself, versus the reactive, fearsome demons of ourself. You know, when we get afraid and we go, whoa, you know, and one of my friends says, you know, people are, when they're scared, are like puffer fish, you know, they go, whoa. You know, we get really big and we get really spiky because we're scared. And the other thing that same person said, that's Mimi, she says this great saying, which is, monsters are scary because they are scared, right? And it's one of my favorite sayings. And when I'm monstrous, or you're monstrous, or anybody is, or the world is acting monstrously, it's because it's afraid. And when you remember that in real life, in real time, in your own life, yourself or others, it's easier to have compassion for a person that is afraid than it is a person that is angry, right? And or righteous or judgmental or, acting out in all the ways that happen. And like with children, we don't expect them to be perfect or anything. We know they're going to not want to share. We know they're going to, break it. We know they're going to have a tantrum, right? It's part of growing up. It's part of what we're learning. But when we become adults, there's this intolerance, right? Of, you should know better. But my feeling is that, and in my work, I definitely know this, that people don't know better until they do, right? So we have to learn to know better. And that's consciousness, right? That is what consciousness is. We learn to know better. But we don't know better necessarily because of circumstance, because of how we grew up or what our backgrounds are and how our parents were and how their parents were and what culture we grew up in and what country we grew up in and what part of the country we grew up in, right? So all these things influence what we know. And so it's important to have compassion right now, even at this monstrosities, right? At the monstrosities and the confusion and the hate and all of this. Doesn't mean you're passive to it. Doesn't mean you don't try to help. Doesn't mean you don't change the world in every way you're able from the place that you're able. But it still needs to be done from heart, not from punishment, right? And pain. So the Sabian symbol for the moon degree, 6 degrees Taurus, where is it in your chart? It's always good to ask because this is what's transforming and that's what's lit up right now. 6 degrees Taurus, 6 degrees Scorpio, and give that a big range now because of, I'll show you the chart. It's just good to see this. If you're an astrologer, it's really good to see. But even if you're not, it gives you a sense of things. All right, so here's the sun. 5 degrees Scorpio, opposed moon, 5 degrees Taurus. That's the exact full moon. And with it comes the sun this time. Sun, Mercury, and Mars are conjunct in the sky, all in Scorpio. The unraveling, the undoing, the critical, right? The critical mass. And Moon and Jupiter are conjunct. This is very kind of auspicious, actually, with the North Node. And so the range, I would say, that you'd look in your chart is between like 3 degrees Scorpio and 14 degrees Scorpio, like that big range, more than normal, is where you want to look at, what's being affected in the Scorpio sun part of the solar part of the chart. And then same thing in the moon. I'd give it that same range, 3 to 13, because of Moon and Jupiter's position. And just quickly, it's a partial lunar eclipse. So that's because the North Node's there, right next to it. And whenever it's a lunar eclipse, it's about karma. Okay, and there's a grand trine with Venus, the ruler of Taurus, and so this is very auspicious, actually. This Venus trine Pluto, trine Uranus. So I'm not going to talk a lot more about that. It's a whole other subject in a way. But it's that, confirmation and understanding a little bit more that there's this giant cosmic clock in the sky. And it's not fatalistic or fated. It is simply energy, right? Energy. And like when I do a chart for someone, I remind them that this isn't set in stone. It's all what you do with it. Right? It's all what you do with it. And so you could have the hardest, most difficult chart in the world, and it's all what you do with it. I know that from my father, who's was an amazing genius, actually, and jazz musician and inventor and all of what he did. And he had a really difficult chart. And I watched him use that chart. And it was like a ladder for him to climb on, and it was a propellant to drive from. And that's what we all have. And so we have these very difficult times we're in right now between 2020 and 2025. And my old joke, when COVID started, was who would have thought it would have been the flu that sort of started this whole thing off, that, became this dominoes thing of how it affected the economy and governments and sort of, anyway, it was all part of it, right? It was just part of the circumstances that are leading to this humanity's choice point. Like, what are we going to do? And what can I do? And what are we going to do? So love is always the answer, in the high sense. We think punishment is always the answer. Well, I'll teach them a lesson, and we think that's how people don't learn like that at all, actually, just temporarily. People learn by love. And you know that from your own lives and how your whole life is unfolding yourselves, that this, this punitive way, it doesn't solve the problem. It can just push it down until it pops up again. So there's a lot of energy going on around right now in the old esoteric teachings, they talked about this time also as the time where things are revealed, right? Where everything's exposed. All things are exposed. And I've been saying this in all my classes recently. We've never been at a time where the whole world is looking at the same things at the same time. And most atrocities and wars and, harms that happen in the world and mass killings and, everybody's got their camera, and so we're all seeing it together. And before, most of that, it was hidden, really hidden. And you'd come out 50 years later, you'd find out, oh, that happened, But that's not happening anymore. We're all wide awake going, what's happening? And so we go through our changes, right? That's terrible. That's not fair. That's not right. And we want to, react and act. But it's all happening in this little short period rather than over 100 years or a couple generations. We're knowing it right now, today, about something that's happening today, right? So, or 1 minute ago. Do you feel what that means? Like the way that could change things, because even, of course, we're still going to have all our responses to that and all of our fears about that and all our everything that we wouldn't have. A normal person will have as it faces anything that's scary, right? But you can, 3 days later, you can grow your response, right? Okay, I'm really upset and I'm going to meditate. I'm really upset and I'm going to do something right here where I'm standing. I have a choice about this, but I don't 50 years after the fact. I can't do much about anything, then, except maybe write a book about what happened. But we're right here, right now, and there's never been a time like that ever, ever, ever in history. Never. Until now. Until the last, technologies that have allowed this. I forget how old the iPhones are, but it's not very, 10 years, 12, 15 years, something. It's not long, so you think about, the setup of that, of just that one technology. And of course, there's many others that are, that we have at our hands. And of course, it lights us up. And so that's happening. People get lit up. But also consciousness is looking at this as well. So we're having our reaction, and we are also possibly, hopefully, more and more having consciousness. And I really do believe we're having more consciousness than reaction. But what we're seeing is the reaction. That's what we're seeing. That's the thing that blows up. You can't miss that. But you're not knowing necessarily that as people are observing this, that it's almost like we're angels wrapping love around that, to let those souls that are dying or being killed, to let them pass through into their karmas in pure love also, even though it's violent maybe, or their own experience was. We are looking at that together and we're praying with them, literally like with them, as we're observing. And that's the way to watch the news if you're going to watch it, is you just bless, send blessings, and consciousness and light to these places that are dark. And that reminds me, I pulled a card. The card I pulled for our the soul tree deck that I love to use, which is just a word. And the first card I got was emotions. Yeah, right. So that, right? Emotions. And then I pulled, amazingly, shadow, right? Of course, that makes sense. And then I said, well, then what do we do? And then I got grounded. Grounded, right? Grounded and anchored, right? In light. Anchored in vision. Anchored in knowing. And using this energy of our energy and of our meditation today, like World Service Meditation, which is what these are, to hold for all. The highest good for all concerned. The highest good for all concerned. And so, Taurus is the concretization of what has been that we intended for the beginning of the new year as a group by the fall time. So solstice, right? Solstice, and we're going to talk about the solstice coming up pretty soon again. And I'm going to have a solstice review coming up for people that want to. But anyway, at the solstice and at the new year, we set an intention, and in the fall is when it starts grounding, October, November, December. And you can see what we've made. You can see where we're going. It becomes this anchored energy, right? Grounded in whatever it is. And and Scorpio is the burning ground, right? What needs to burn away? What needs to fall off? What needs to be heat? I was talking about it last night too, about alchemy, that the dross, right? The dross is what happens in smelting metal, and usually any metal actually, but gold you can think of, or silver. When you heat it up and you want to get it to its pure state of pure gold, you heat it and heat it and heat it, and this dross falls off. And it reminds me of Scorpio, of the burning grounds, right? It's the phoenix from the ash, right? So here we are at this time where things are landing and concretized while we're going through this burning too of things that don't work anymore, things that need to change. And what we've been talking about every single new moon or full moon or meditation class that I've been doing, we've been, for the last months, the question has been, what is really ready to change in your life, right? And then I would say, but what is really, really, really ready to change, right? And as it gets hotter and hotter, what is really, 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 it's inevitably changing, right? It's got to change. That dross falls off and the phoenix rises, and that the gold is revealed, all these metaphors, right? And today, because of this karmic, right, North Node lunar eclipse, partial lunar eclipse, the North Node is always about your soul's purpose, right, in this lifetime. South Node is what it was and what you came in with, but your North Node is your purpose in this lifetime. So here we are with this North Node full moon. So karmic, world karma is what we're talking about, world karma. And what's going to be revealed in this full moon, and the last one too was so intense. What is ready for profound transformation? That was the question we asked last time. What is ready and up for profound, radical, and I said permanent transformation, right? Those are big words, but believe me, you're ready. All of us are. We are so ready, and I'm now talking personally. What are you ready to radically, profoundly, permanently change about something you're working on, something you're realizing about life or yourself, or what matters to you, which was another meditation we did recently. What matters to you? What really matters to you? And things like, right? So those are the energies that are up. So this is the title to me, of this full moon. as I was meditating with it is maybe something different can happen, right? Maybe so here we are again with, the Middle East, the United States having another civil war, right? Europe's ongoing, everybody, all these places, those aren't all of them. Those are just the big ones that we know about. There's more things going on in Africa, everywhere. Churches, everything's getting rattled and rolled in what's going on. And in these times, because of the way we're all looking at this, maybe we don't have to do this for the next 1,000 years again. And I'm really hoping that, really wishing that for us, that we learn and we're horrified and we don't do that anymore. We want to do it differently now. And I believe there's enough consciousness on the planet right now for that to happen. And it is happening. I mean, it is happening. It's not even maybe going to happen. It is going to happen. But it could be in 500 years. It could be in 5,000 years. But it also could be now. And I think that's what I want. I mean, it's not going to be today, that's for sure, because it's just too intense. But while everyone's watching, even the most radical, of whatever radical thing that they're radical about, hold the middle, right? Be the fulcrum, right? Hold the middle. Because even they, if it's your kid that gets killed, all of a sudden, well, wait a second, that's different, right? Or it's your brother or so we can learn by empathy. Like, we don't have to be in the war to understand what war is. We don't have to get blown up in order to understand what that means, And as pure consciousness, we can add our note to all of this and help heal our world. And so one of the things I was teaching some years ago, that was my main teach. I go through these phases where I'm teaching something a lot, about I'm saying it 100 different ways as I'm learning it myself, right? And we're all learning it together. But, you can't heal anybody till you heal yourself. You can't have peace in the world if there's not peace in me, right? It just doesn't happen. And so heal yourself, heal the world came out of that. Right? To be able to in my self-awareness of my own self-healing and my own self-esteem and my own self-forgiveness, I'm going to say it that way, then that becomes my ability to forgive someone else, right? To be able to heal the world because I've healed myself. So where I judge myself in any way becomes the place where I'll probably still judge you. Right? And I want to break that pattern. And that's what we're doing collectively, though. It's not even just the one of us. Okay, now I got to find something because I got to share this. It's so beautiful. Okay, so as I'm saying these words, hear them like you're saying these words. Okay? So it's almost like we're saying these words to each other and to ourselves. And these are what's so great about these Buddhist prayers. They're very all. There's not all blessings to all beings, not just to those people, or not just to my people. All blessings to all beings. Om, right? So here it is. It goes, if I have harmed anyone in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through my own confusions, I ask their forgiveness. If anyone has harmed me in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through their own confusions, I forgive them. And if there is a situation I am not yet ready to forgive, I forgive myself for that. For all the ways that I harm myself, negate myself, doubt myself, belittle myself, judge or be unkind to myself through my own confusions, I forgive myself, right? And the key in that is through the confusions, right? That's the it's not intentional. It's what we think is right. We think it's right that they should get killed. Nobody understands me, and so I'm gonna, blow up the world. Since I'm going to hell anyway, what difference does it make? Kind of thinking. Or if I do this act, then I'm going to heaven. It's like there's so many, talk about confusions, right? And inaccuracies. Those aren't love. That's just pain. That's just pain. So that's how we're going to go into our meditation, and to consider that. And we are going to do a world service meditation, and I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot more of these because it is not over yet. We are kind of at the zenith, in a way, of the arc between 2020 and 2025. We're at the high point, and it's all coming, and it's all the more important. Oh, and I wanted to tell you also the Sabian symbol for 6 degrees full moon, 6 degrees Taurus is perfect. A bridge being built across a chasm. So we're the bridge. We're the light bridge. And we can help by remembering that and being that. And so when you're ready to, we're going to go into our meditation now. So I'm going to do this better. Okay. There's so much more to say, obviously, but you all know everything, so there's not anything really to say at all. Isn't that true? But it's good to be reminded, and it's good to know that you're not alone, especially all, us, because we're doing this all the time, 24/7 since we were born, in a way, right? It's been, whether we knew it or not, we were. This is what awareness is. This is what consciousness is. This is, we were born for this, you were born for this time. So we have to get to work, Chop wood, carry water means you just chop wood, carry water, wherever you are and whatever the conditions are. It's not because it's so perfect, right? It isn't perfect. And so we can do that with our awareness. So when you're ready to, you can light your candle or observe mine, or light it in your mind. And just start taking those breaths that bring you in and line you up. And bring you into the moment, and bring you interconnected, this light to lighthouse, lighthouse to lighthouse, light to light, soul to soul, heart to heart, right? Group connection that this full moon's exact in less than an hour. So there's millions of people meditating right now around the planet. And just slow down, even though the times are so fast. Slow down. Find your breath. Release the concerns of the day. Remember you are soul incarnate. I am light in form. We are light in form. And you start to build the bridge across the chasm that is made of light, that can hold the opposites. Yoga means yoke, right? It yokes the pairs of opposites, light and dark, angel and devil, shadow and light, yoga yokes, the pairs of opposites by bridging, right? It doesn't, it's on this side only, it's on that side only. And so that pure love, heart, consciousness is what bridges it. So it is a bridge of light that we're making with each other, together. We're weaving it, right? We're weaving it like throwing lines across the chasm. I throw one to your side and you throw one to my side. And we start building this bridge that we can walk upon and stand in the center to bridge the two apparently, seemingly opposite sides together. A bridge of light, that we are light. I remember that I am light, and I am forming with many others a bridge of light for the world to cross, to midwife this world into a beautiful golden age someday, calling in the angel of peace to bless this meditation and bless our world and bless our lives, bless ourselves through our own confusions. Right, our own misunderstandings, our own reactions. And I put all my confusions and my reactions and my judgments and my it's not fairnesses on the altar. I put them on the altar. It's cosmic altar, right? It's an altar made of light. And the minute they touch the altar, as they that I put my confusions on the altar, they turn to flowers. I put my misunderstandings on the altar, and there's more flowers. And I put the anger on the altar, and it becomes flowers. And now there's this flowers everywhere. As the altar of light transmutes these energies from dark to light, from mud to lotus, healing ourselves, so that we can be that light bridge, constantly purifying our own thoughts, our own fears, our own dross, right? Letting it burn off. So the gold, right? For the gold. Let it fall away, these old patterns, these old karmic patterns, your personal ones and the whole world's karmic patterns that we are in. We are so in that those can fall away as the heat increases, right? That's how we learn. Mostly. Don't have to learn that way, but mostly it's how we learn. And pretty soon what is revealed is the pure gold, the pure light. And so as you notice things in yourself that you can add to your altar, the cosmic universal altar, let's call it, just watch them be transformed. These fears, these pains in our body, these negative feelings of ourselves, self-loathing, helplessness, personal disregard, and all of this, anger, fear, all on the altar. Watching it just poof, 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 flower, flower, flower. Changing. Oh, remember the Woodstock song, Joni Mitchell song? And she sees the the plane, I forget how she said it right now, but the planes that are dropping bombs turn to she's butterflies in the air. I forget how it goes, but it's so beautiful, right? It's like just by thinking it, right? We begin to change our world. We change our world by changing ourselves. Heal yourself. Heal yourself. Heal your world. Heal yourself. Heal the world. And maybe then something different can happen, see? It is coming from, initiating from, and generating from a very different place than fear. The consequences of a fear response are very different than the consequences of a love response. Feel that. And it is so. And so I love, I love, I love, I love. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. Me, you, me, you, me, you, me, you. Till then eventually there's no more words left and there's just Om, peace, peace, peace. Om Shanti, right? Peace, peace, peace. And you move into the silence now. peace. Om, peace. Om, peace. All blessings to all beings. Om, peace. Like this is a lullaby, you know. Put hearts to rest. Om, peace. Everything's going to be okay. Om, peace. All blessings to all beings. See it in your mind's eye, like this wave of goodwill and light moving across the globe, under the water, in the sky, through the mountains, the leaves rustling with it, the grasses moving, heartbeats quickening, consciousness rising. Om. Until it starts to feel natural. To begin to transition out of this meditation when you're ready to. Taking your time. Good. Couldn't be more important work to do on this planet than this. There isn't anything more important than this right now. It helps. It helps the ones that are in those positions that are actually in the field that can do something. It helps in your own life. It helps to help others. Right? It helps ourselves to not go crazy. You know? Yeah. Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining in this full moon meditation. So happy you're here. It means a lot to me and to all of us. And I hope you share these. Tell people about meditating. You know, meditate somewhere. Meditate here. Meditate somewhere. Join in a group. Become part of something. You know, meditate on your own in this way. But it helped by letting this note go past ourselves, right? To share it, to literally share it, right? Make music out of it, Hannah. You know, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, write a book about it. You know, sing it to the sky. Sing it to each other. Calm each other's broken hearts. You know. Yeah. And the next full moon is when is that? Next full moon is November 27th, which is right near Thanksgiving. I think it's after. And it's a Monday. So we'll be here meeting again at the 7:30 time like we usually do. And, you know, be kind to yourself right now. It's tough. And there's a lot to take in and transmute, right? Plus your own stuff, you know. And remember, you sensitives out there, which is all of you that are here, you know, when energy lights up, it amplifies your energy too. And so the things you're working on can seem more intense than they actually are. You know, so don't let it get out of proportion. Just keep remembering it's the energy. The world is changing. There's a lot of attention right now, you know, being put upon every subject you can think of. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Stay connected. Stay in your heart as best you can. Stay in your heart, just period. Just stay in your heart. It doesn't matter how you feel. You know? Kidding. Thank you. Till next time.